You're at the point in your experiment where you finished your reaction or the starting lab and you're getting ready to use the electrothermal to test the melting point of your sample. What we're using for this demonstration is biphenyl, and here is a sample of it grinded into a mortar and pestle. You need to make sure that your particulate is as fine as you can get it, because you want to make sure that there is no air inside of the melting point tube that can skew your data. When it's time for you to load it into your tube, you're going to place about 2 to 4 millimeters of sample inside the tube. You want to have enough that you can actually see it, but you don't want to have too much that you're wasting product. Right. As I said, we're using biphenyl, which has a melting point of 69 to 72 degrees, and this can be read on the side of it, or you can ask your instructor. When you're ready and you've prepared your melting point sample, you can come over here to an electrothermal. In the top, there are 3 individual slots where you can load up to 3 individual samples. It is a small area in here. You can see that you can fit approximately 3 in the top. Usually, if you're doing 1 sample, just load 1 in the middle. All right, this is your viewport. You will be able to see your sample and the progression of the melting through the viewport. If you are coming to an electrothermal and it is not on, such as this one, you turn it on by the button located on the back of the unit here. It will turn on, it gives a little startup sequence, and then once it beeps, it's ready to use. All right, this is the current temperature that it is right now. This will be important if you're using this after somebody else is using the electrothermal, because you are trying not to pre-melt your sample. If it is, say, 100 to 150 to 200, if you have a low melting point sample, you're going to end up with something that melts instantaneously when you put it into the sample tray. So we're going to be using this one over here. We can turn this one back off. This one is currently at 27.1, which is significantly lower than 69 degrees Celsius, so this is okay to use. We are going to start by setting the melting point range. There are 2 sequences to using the electrothermal. There's a part called a fast ramp and a part called a slow ramp. The fast ramp is to take you to the area right before the melting point of your sample. And then once you get there, use the slow ramp to edge the temperature up to the point at which it melts. It's important that you don't set the fast ramp too high, because you can accidentally melt your sample. Recall, either in the pre-lab or in class, because I wasn't there when it happened, if your sample is pretty impure, you're going to have an extension of the melting point range, and you can actually cause it to melt prematurely if you move it too close. So this one says it's 99% purity, and its melting point is 69 to 72 degrees Celsius. So we need to set the fast ramp about 10 to 15 degrees Celsius below. So 70 degrees minus 15, we're going to be doing it at 55 degrees. So when it's time to start using the apparatus, all you have to do is set the fast ramp, and it'll take you there. This will go up in increments of 10. So every time you go up, it'll go up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. If you're looking for a specific temperature, say 54 degrees, you can't go 50 and then up another 4, because it's still in increments of 10. You need to go up to the next 10 and then back down. The computer on the inside will take it up 10 and then back it down in increments of 1 to get you to your fast ramp. In this case, let's say instead that I want to do, or we said that we're going to do 55. So I start, it's got 10 on the screen. So I'm going to go up to, not 50, but 60, and then back down 5. Right here it says 55 degrees, this is in Celsius, so now this has set the fast ramp to 55 degrees. We're ready to set it and go. Press the go button and it's going to start automatically going to the fast ramp setting. Okay, once the electrothermal gets close to the fast ramp goal, it's going to start slowing down. Normally, once you start your heating, it's going to heat at about 10 degrees Celsius per minute, but now it's going to slow down so that it gets specific right up to the area at which you entered earlier. Now, you can't use this and begin the slow ramp until it beeps. That indicates that it's at the point you set it to. So we are still waiting. It's kind of fittering around 55 degrees, and once it gets there and is ready to use, it will beep. It is ready to use. Wait until it stops beeping, and now press the enter button again to initiate the slow ramp. Like I said, the fast rate was 10 degrees Celsius per minute. This is 1 degree Celsius per minute. And now you're going to have to start carefully monitoring the samples that are inside. You do this via the viewport. It uses a little lens in the top that'll zoom in, so you will stand above it and view it into the top. It is okay at this point to take off your goggles and view it using your eyes. You're safe. There's no concerns. Up until this point, you should have worn goggles. So what you're seeing now is what you would see if you were performing the melting point yourself. It is very dark on the inside. Only a couple of these use interior illumination, so you're going to need a phone flashlight or something else so that you can see it clearly. Once you start the slow ramp, you've got to be very vigilant because these will sneak up on you and occur when you're not paying attention, and you don't want to fudge your numbers. Okay, so we had backed up and initiated a fast ramp, so you can see basically in not slow motion how this is melting. This is what will occur over the course of your slow ramp cycle. You need to wait until it is completely melted to actually take your end point. Take the starting point right when it starts melting, and take the final temperature when it stops melting. In a laboratory experiment, this would be about the time that we would mark the final temperature.